And that's a sign. Here it is again.
You're grabbing. You're holding.
Jay Nady says stop holding.
Stop.
You're right. We haven't seen that many of many clinches.
Very disappointing
Don't hold.
at this moment for Dominick Guinn. He's 1-2-1 in his last 3 fights. He had been, a heavyweight prospect that everybody thought had the potential to move way up in the heavyweight rankings, and the last couple of years have not gone well for him.
Well, he was a hot prospect early on. He beat Michael Grant in spectacular fashion, big guy. He beat Duncan Dokawari.
Yeah, also a big guy.
Big guy, and then just the about face, the Monty Barrett fight. Look at Toney go to work here.
That's superb boxing. I mean, good combinations. This is what separates Toney from the other heavyweights. He is a very, very skilled fighter.
Stop!
Well, he's certainly winning this crowd over. Very popular as Toney continues to lead on the press row scorecards.
Surprised at Charles Presnell's scorecard, only a 2-point margin for Toney. That's a little surprising to me. Good body shot. We talked about Guinn wanting to work the body to slow Toney down for the later rounds. He wasn't able to do it. Instead, it's been Toney who's been very effective to the body.
Who do you think the average person off the street considers the heavyweight champion of the world?
Wow, that's a tough question. The linear one, if you will, is Vitaly Klitschko.
You're holding.
And maybe within the boxing circles, more people than not might think of him, but the average person, I don't know. It's not Joe Louis, is it? No. Okay.
Or Lennox Lewis, for that matter.
Right.
What's the solution? I mean, is it an activity amongst the top guns?
Yeah, I think in this division, good right hand by Toney. In this division, the matchups mean everything now. And we're looking at a guy right here who you could match with almost anybody and make a very interesting fight right now. And that, of course, is James Toney.
But the promoters and the politics of the sport have to stay out of the way to let that happen.
And they have in most of the other weight divisions.
Right. Interested spectator fought earlier tonight. Chris Burr, the IBF heavyweight champ, who defeated Deverell Williamson by unanimous decision. Again, hearing the boo birds from the crowd as the fans see his image on the big screen.
James, put the combination together, it's over, okay? Now here, you land a beautiful right uppercut. Come back and look for me and then put me to sleep, okay? All right? Now pay attention, right? You're fighting a great fight out there. All right? Show me your skills, put the combinations together. How do you feel, son? You look great. You look great. Deep breath. Okay.
Encouraging words from Freddie Roach to James Toney. You look great.
What else is there for him to say? He's doing everything right. I understand the fans booing Chris Burr, and I understand they didn't like the effort. I just feel bad because he's such a quality guy, and you feel bad he has to endure that, but the performance of that fight created that.
He is, and so was his opponent, Deverell Williamson, a very quality individual, and you kind of feel bad for them. That lackluster fight took place.
Holding. Let go there. Let go. Stop.
So round 10 continues.
Holding. Thank you.
James Toney in this fight, interestingly, has, as we mentioned before, has shown us 2 different dimensions, and it's very impressive, especially in the heavyweight division, because he's fought off the ropes, he's counterpunched, and then in the center of the ring, he's been very, very effective with his jab against a fighter who has a height and reach advantage over him. So, as we've said, those 2 dimensions, very impressive for James Toney.
Toney continues to look the spire of the 2, a great right uppercut on the chin by Toney.
He's certainly enlivened this crowd, and appropriately so. And it's been a textbook effort. Freddie Roach had nothing to say to James Toney in between the rounds other than you're fighting a great fight. And it's rare that a trainer has only that to say to a fighter. And for Dominick Guinn, part of the problem is now he's in the later rounds, a place he hasn't always excelled. in against a 37-year-old who just isn't stopping. He's continuing to punch and continuing to do exactly what he needed to do. If there was a statement to be made here, James Toney's really making it with this performance. He said, I'm healthy for the first time. I'm ready to, since the Holyfield fight to a great extent, and he's shown it.
And apparently timeout, hang on 1 second. Problem with the tape on the right glove of Dominick Guinn. And the thing is, it doesn't seem to matter as far as the spare tire.
Thank you.
Around Toney's midsection. He still seems to be in very good condition, and as you pointed out, he seems very healthy, which are contributing factors to his performance here tonight.
Okay,
and, let's make no mistake about it. Dominick Guinn has reached the status of kind of a fringe heavyweight, but a fringe heavyweight with a lot of ability, who has had his excellent moments.
Big right hand there by Toney to the head of Guinn. No knockdowns in this fight. As Al pointed out, Gwynn's never been down. Toney's been down a couple of times in his career.
So this is what you like. You like to see a heavyweight in round 10 throwing combinations, and there aren't too many that do that on a regular basis. Very, very few. One that did, even though he's not maybe the great fighter, we enjoyed Owen Beck when he was on this network fighting and throwing a lot of combinations.
What the heck? So we head to the final seconds of round 10. Another impressive one for James Toney against Dominick Guinn.
Stop time.
Next Saturday will be the rematch of the fight many are calling the fight of the decade. This is one you don't want to miss.
On October 8th, it's the rematch of the greatest lightweight fight ever. Diego Corrales versus Jose Luis Castillo. Their first bout was an epic war.
What a left hook by Castillo!
The fight of the millennium.
What a combination by Corrales!
One of the greatest fights of all time.
Unbelievable action!
Can you handle it again? Corrales versus Castillo 2 plus more. Saturday, October 8th, live on pay-per-view. Contact your pay-per-view provider to order. Where will you be when history repeats itself?
I cannot wait for that fight a week from tonight. It's not only that fight, but it's a really excellent card.
Oh, fantastic. Jorge Arce and Hussein in a rematch of what was a fight that was, well, it wasn't fought on the same level as Corrales and Castillo, was terrific. So that card is going to be fantastic. And anybody who's a boxing fan just has to be looking forward to it so much.
A week from tonight on Showtime pay-per-view, the rematch between Diego Corrales and Jose Luis Castillo, a rematch of one of the great fights that you'll ever see. Round 11, championship rounds. And James Toney has put on a nice show here tonight.
He sure has, and there have been many elements to this that he can take away and be happy about. The fact that he's fought in the center of the ring, he's fought off the ropes, he's used a complete arsenal of punches, and he has never slowed down. And that's a very important point, because when you're 37, coming off a couple of injuries, you're weighing more than you've ever weighed, people are going to ask those questions. He's answered them. He's different than all other fighters. You can't go by the normal signs with him. You really can't.
Different is the operative word. Here's a look at the championship rounds. He's got the experience, doesn't he? Title rounds, how about that? 18 to zip.
Things went south on Dominick Guinn about the third or fourth round when he started languishing on the inside with Toney, took a lot of punishment, never quite got his game plan going.
I mean, just nobody better using the angles, turning his body, rolling his shoulders, shifting, sidestepping. That's James Toney. He's cute in that he turns his shoulder, he blocks punches, shoots the counter.
And the other thing we've learned about James Toney as a heavyweight is that he has a very good chin. Holyfield hit him with some pretty good shots. Even John Ruiz, who has knocked down some heavyweights, even though he's not a monstrous puncher, hit him with some good shots. Toney's not been effective. There's a scoring. You see a wide margin in press row scoring for James Toney, and I agree with it. I have it very big margin for James Toney, so I agree with that. So Toney takes a punch well, and one of the interesting things for Chris Bird as he's looking at this, if he should be the next Toney opponent or put his title on the line against Toney, Toney's not only active, he's hard to hurt, and based upon Chris Bird not being as sharp as he would like, that's a tough combination for Bird right now.
And Gwynn's put himself in a position right now Now where he needs a knockout to win, and guess what? James Toney's never been stopped, never knocked out, never really hurt in a fight. I guess the worst he looked was against Roy Jones back in 1994. He lost by unanimous decision at 168.
Had a very hard time making that weight, as he often did during those times. Partially his own doing, of course, also.
He was a different guy back then, mentally and physically.
You mentioned maturity. That's a key point for James Toney. Some might never put those two words in the same sentence, but really they'd be wrong, because he is matured in many different ways about this sport.
Three-time world champion in 3 different weight divisions, looking for the heavyweight title someday, and it could come soon.
Here, give me another drink, Jenny. Okay. Deep breath, son. Come on, give me going. One more. Second. Okay.
12th round.
Okay. James, this guy's got one shot. He's gonna come after you. All right? You fight your fight. Okay? All right? Keep throwing those combinations. Keep your head good head movement. Okay? All right? Beautiful. Okay.
Can do it.
Not easier, but you know what? You got 3 minutes left. You got 3 minutes left. You really want it.
Well, this is it. James Toney, Freddie Roach, they know that Dominick Guinn has only one shot at winning this fight, and that's by knocking out James Toney. Well, they didn't touch gloves at the start. They do at the end.
And you know, Freddie Roach understands his fighter. There was only one important thing for him to say. Remember to move your head, because he doesn't want James Toney getting caught with something that maybe would hurt him or put him down. He knew there was just one major important thing to say to him, and that was it. So he did. And he knows James Toney will listen.
I think the consensus is that next month Vitaly Klitschko is going to beat Hasim Rahman, and most people recognize Vitaly Klitschko as the man. How do you think Toney would do?
Well, you know, see, I believe that the big, tall heavyweights who fight tall, and Klitschko does it better than anyone, present the biggest challenge to Toney. Just getting to them is hard for him. That's his problem. How does he hit them? Big edge in the press row scoring. And you know, that's the problem for Toney. Any of the shorter heavyweights, I say he has a great chance to beat, and I would make him the favorite. Klitschko's the only one that's tough.
Okay.
Not to say he won't beat him, because I'm never going to underestimate this guy. He's doing some amazing things.
Difficult to underestimate Toney.
Yeah, it's just that that's a tougher fight for him.
He continues to have his way with the younger Dominick Guinn.
You know, James Toney's been at 4 different weight divisions. I thought he was at his best as a cruiserweight. But I'll tell you what, he's fighting very well as a heavyweight, too.
Undefeated.
Yeah.
Big right hand over the top by Toney. Just wailing away.
And you know, Dominick Guinn, it looks like we'll get through this fight with still not having a knockdown, though he's been hit with some very, very big and good shots by James Toney. But that's a small moral victory for Guinn.
17-year pro James lights out Toney. Final minute of the 12th round. Toney back in action, eagerly awaited return to the ring after being out 6 spots after beating John Ruiz and then having the title stripped because of the positive test for steroids.
2 years ago, when James Toney moved into the heavyweight division with that stirring performance over Evander Holyfield, he thought he would be active. The Guinns would be fought every 4 or 5 months. People like Dominick Guinn. It didn't work out that way because of the injuries. But you can feel when he's 100%, the zeal